And welcome to Wednesday night around 10 p.m. to a Fantasy Fan Sportscast on the Sportscrew radio network. And right now I'm solo, so it should be a really, really good time, I'm assuming, because anybody that knows anything knows I'm just a fan of fantasy sports. And my job usually is to ask the questions I assume you guys would want to ask as fans to people who know something. That's right. I actually have people who know things on shows. And then I ask them questions that you want to hear answers to. Because if you listen to other fantasy podcasts, SiriusXM, these experts get away with stuff because they're either just talking like I am right now into a mic where no one can question them, or they're talking to another fantasy, air quotes, expert, and they don't question much. They just, okay, that's good, and come up with things and all that. So makes this a lot harder when I'm solo, and especially when I prepare to not be solo. Meaning I prepare questions. I prepare notes. I prepare things that I want to ask. I hear things on a show and I want to question somebody who might know more or less or be able to help me with why they would say that. But tonight, right at the moment, I have lost my co-host. We've been doing this almost 2 years. Usually I know where he is. Usually I know where Mr. Chris Allen is on a Wednesday night at 10 o'clock. He's right here in front of me. But tonight he's not. But I want to welcome everybody. Again, a Fantasy Fan Sportscast live right now on YouTube. Also available iTunes, any podcast catcher or download software. And at the sportscrew.com, where our shows can be heard the next day. So, I hope you enjoy them. We have added multiple shows in and out and been doing a lot of different things, trying new things. I did a show the other day with Lou on a whim, and that'll show up in the podcast stream. We've done the A-Hole Hour a couple of times. We'll keep working on that and throwing that in there when we, get time. And those are just, we're the four of us get together. Me, Lou Landers, Cha-Cha, and Double A. We get in there and just talk random adult talk about sports and fantasy and sometimes just some other stuff. And right now I mix that into the feed. Soon it'll have its own separate feed, but sticking in there so you guys can hear other things that I'm doing. Do appreciate you listening. I know we've had actually paying attention to a few more new listeners. I think some of that is because of the Sports Crew. So thanks. You can tweet me at a fantasy fan, questions, comments, or anything like that, or email is just a fantasy fan at Gmail. If you have topics or questions or anything you want us to answer, or like I said, come live to YouTube and join us in the chat room. So there we go. I killed 5 minutes. That was it. I killed 5 minutes to try to get Chris a little time. I'm worried now. I've texted him a few times. I hope this isn't the way it ends with me and Chris. That just one day he doesn't show up anymore. I don't know. We do another show together. We do a brewcast. I know. And we did it last night. At the end of it, said I'll see you tomorrow. So again, I hope everything's okay. So let's get into the big topics that I'm good at. And, the first one is Sunday Night Football is changing up their musical introduction or beginning to the show. I'm sorry, not too excited. We didn't lose Carrie Underwood. She'll still be there, and I'm assuming she'll be there with some, shorts or a skirt. I don't know. It seems like she's never doing anything with pants on. But that's fine. That's fine. So you people who are excited to see Carrie Underwood at the beginning of your Sunday Night Football, that's going to happen. But they added a little twist. The music's been remade. It's the same song, but there will be a performer with her now. And this is somebody straight out of the 70s. And I actually talked about this person the other day on another podcast because she was at the last WWE. And that's Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Jonah Jett. Or Joan Jett. I think it's just Joan Jett. I think I've always said Jonah Jett, but it's just Joan Jett. And the Blackhearts. Jonah Jett and the Blackhearts will be performing the song every Sunday night that Carrie Underwood will sing to. Because, and I guess once I heard about this and got it in my head, I understood. I guess the Sunday night song was written, Waiting All Day for a Sunday Night, but it's based on I Hate Myself for Loving You, which was Jonah Jett hit back, in the 80s. Didn't put those together. Didn't really care. I just knew Carrie Underwood walked around with no pants. That's it. That's all I knew. I mean, I got to see Chris Collinsworth and Mr. Michaels and, for a few minutes, Carrie Underwood. It's no big deal. Just pops on the screen. She pops off. I know there's football players around her, I'm sure. We'll be excited. But I'm just saying, this is the kind of information you will get if I don't have a guest on or my co-host. This kind of stuff, because as a fan, this kind of stuff, it cracks me up. Because do we really care? Is this going to make you watch more or watch less because Joan Jett, which I got to tell you, WE, she's looking rough. She is. I'm just saying. I'm no young guy, but I do remember Joan when she was, a little younger herself, keeping herself together. Not saying she's not together now. She's just together in an older way. You know what I'm saying? It's, I'm just saying, she was at WWE wrestling a while back, 3 months ago and all that. And hey, it was just something, haven't seen her in a while. And now I'm going to get to see her every Sunday. Joan Jett from my 20s is coming back. And yes, I was a Runaway guy. I had the, a Runaways album back in my early days. Who didn't love the song Cherry Bomb? Come on, who didn't love it? So there you go. That's my first football insight for the night. Is the NFL had to put out information that we have updated the intro song for Sunday Night Football, which means not a whole lot of football must be going on, which I think is a good thing. It's another thing I had noted, talked to Chris about is I don't know if it's me, and I think it's a good thing, but injuries so far this preseason, give me some wood, has been minor, has been less, at least as a fantasy person. Obviously, I'm sure there's, I've heard some linemen, there's some things that are happening, and might affect fantasy, but so far as a fantasy player, those big names or any big fantasy injury things haven't happened, and that's a good thing. But it also kind of makes, it draws out the season, which I think this 4-week preseason season is, right now it's been contract stuff. And I don't want to say I don't care, but what I do care about is all these other analysts. And this is where I would tell my experts, that get on these radio shows and Sirius XM and, start talking like they know what's best. No, they don't. Most of the fantasy experts you listen to, I don't care what network, I don't care what podcast, they have no recollection of what it would be to have to negotiate contracts in the millions of dollars, let alone the tens or 20 or 30 millions of dollars, or what it's like to have a job that you know for a fact will be over in 4 or 5 years, or know what it's like to physically give 100% or more physically of your body. But and I get it, they need to, I guess, fill the air with something like me right now. But do you have to get on the air and, tell us that, Melvin Gordon is doing something stupid. Melvin Gordon is wrong. Melvin Gordon should have learned from last year. Melvin Gordon, who cares? It's Melvin Gordon's money. It's Melvin Gordon's career. We want to think we know things, but we don't know anything. We don't know the situations. We're not behind closed doors. And hey, even if it's Hard Knocks and all that, and they give us one video of a meeting so we think we know what happens in every meeting. No, we don't know. So again, these fantasy air quote experts that, spend 15, 20 minutes of their time telling us how Melvin Gordon or how Zeke Elliott, are just making huge mistakes. And I'm going to throw my own expert under the bus, Lou Landers. And I love Lou. Lou's my man. Lou's my sit-start guy. Landers talks. Follow him. He's a good follow. He does a lot. Does a lot of different shows. He knows a lot of things. And that's good. But today on a show, Mr. Landers said you'd think these guys would have learned their lesson from Bell last year. And I agree they should have learned their lesson. I just think they learned the right lesson where most people think Bell lost. I've listened to Bell. I've listened to Bell's management. Bell won. Bell got a year off. Bell got paid. Bell got a guarantee. He's going to make money for the next 4 or 5 years. He didn't get hurt. And he won. And again, Lou showed up in the chat room, so I threw him in the bus. Apologize. He's not the only one. I've heard this from a lot of experts that think they know that someone won or lost, but they don't. He thinks he won. He won. That's how negotiations work. And I'm good with that. I think he won a year off, more money. Now, people say, but he won't ever get that $30 million back. But if he'd got hurt, he would have never got this contract. And that's what people can't do. And it is hard to do. It is hard to put something that didn't happen, out there. But that was his point. He didn't get hurt. The team was going to work him a lot. And that's not even made up. They came out and said that. They franchise tagged him twice. And yes, we want to, people are out there, why do we feel sorry for a millionaire? No, it doesn't matter. Does not matter. So win, lose, as experts, we don't know. We want to think we do, and then we rationalize what the next guy's doing or whatever. I personally think that the players think that he also was a winner. And now they're willing to do the same thing. If they can gain a little bit of control over their future, a little bit of control over their contract situation, especially running backs who their time is pretty short. They're young, and unfortunately, the veterans that are a big part of the player contract that ends up getting signed when they do negotiation is obviously changed to where the rookies, don't get paid a whole lot. And unfortunately, in rookie running backs, or at least running backs that are running backs that are in their rookie contract, they don't get paid a whole lot. And unfortunately, those 4 years, they could get worked to death to where then it's hard for them to get that next big contract. So again, there's no winner, no loser. But if the player thinks he won, he won. So when we try to compare if Gordon is doing the right thing or if Zeke is doing the right thing to what Bell did last year, again, I think the players think Bell was a winner because he still got money. He's still playing football. He's guaranteed now. His family's going to see that next contract that if he got hurt last year, they wouldn't have seen. So, that's the side I take, when it comes to these contracts. So that being said, and I know some things I said today, I think the chances are now very high that Gordon and Elliott may not play. And, so we'll see. But I am joined by Mr. Chris Allen at Chris Allen FFWX. I hope you can hear me there, Chris. I hope everything's okay. I was worried. You're always prompt. You're always, you're not an on-time guy. I'm going to give you that, but you are prompt. You're not early. 10 o'clock is 10 o'clock. I always know you're here at 10 o'clock, and today.
I know I'm a bit late today. I had a couple of family things to take care of. I do apologize for that.
No, I'm sure that the fans are listeners out there, and we have built a little more of a base now, and we appreciate every listener. I do, and I had to start the show, and I don't know if you heard. I've been doing little shows here and there besides our show, but under the same thing. Well, I did a show with Mr. Lou Landers the other day, and I felt bad for my fans because I titled the show "F You Listeners, Easy Needs Help," because it was a show. It was a show just for me. Now,
only you would do that.
I believe my listeners gained a lot of information from that show. I mean, I'm a fan. I had a football guy with me. I asked a lot of questions, but they were 100% geared to help me. So that's all. I mean, sometimes you can learn by watching or listening to somebody else who's also being taught something. So, and we'll get into that in a few minutes because, and Lou already hollered at me for wasting his hour and 27 minutes because Mr. Allen, I've been doing this for 6 years. Mm-hmm. This draft, I think, got away from me, and it got away from me in a hurry. I went rogue. I went rogue early.
Oh, no.
And everything Lou told me to do, out the door. Everything I had mock draft. Lou was me, my mock drafts. Everything told me what to do. I went in with a game plan and a couple of Heinekens and went rogue. And I had to battle the whole way through, and my league was fighting me. They're getting better. A few of them even talked about it. I'm now a target. I'm always competitive. I've been in not 2 Super Bowls before last year. Last year I had a bad week and didn't make the Super Bowl. Got bumped out before, but I'm always in the playoffs. I was 10-3 last year. Mm-hmm. They're gunning for me. They were playing my podcast in the middle of the draft. Making,
these guys are savages. Oh my goodness.
They were, and they're getting better. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but we'll get into that here in a second because that obviously I love the listeners. So when I say F you listeners, I mean it in the best of ways. I do. I really do. I want my listeners to know I appreciate every German that listens to us. I appreciate every Austrian that's out there listening today. And I appreciate Mr. Lou Landers, who I threw under the bus. But that's a story for Mr. Lou. Now, he said in the chat room he agreed with me a little bit on Bell winning or losing. But I was just, talking. I've heard just so many people that seem to not be on the player's side on this little debate. We're not going to get into this long because I already gave a little speech myself. But let's just go there quick. The news today out of the Melvin Gordon camp is that them and the Chargers just are a ways off. They're not talking much. The talks aren't going anywhere. I just quickly, your opinion, and then what do you think? Are we going to see Melvin Gordon play this year?
I don't think so. I'd be really surprised if that actually wound up happening. And I think we had this conversation probably like a few weeks ago. And when you asked me between the two, Zeke and Gordon, like who was going to get a contract, I told you then. I'm pretty sure Zeke's going to wind up the one with the contract. Now that's still we're yet to see whether that happens.
I think what Dallas has done today or yesterday, I guess, by signing somebody else.
No, Jalen Smith. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the amount of money they gave him, I mean, there's still, I mean, in NFL, there's a salary cap. I mean, I think we can say whatever. I think that was a shot over the bow. Am I saying that right? Isn't bow part of a boat and you shoot a cannon over?
It might be, but it also could be that they wanted to get their ducks in a row, and he just could be the next domino to fall.
A lot of experts today, and air quote experts, were sure seeming like he shouldn't have been a priority. That Cooper,
right? Because it was a year early. But, I mean,
right.
But also Zeke's a year early. I mean, it's not like
Zeke's a year early, but Zeke is special. I think everyone can say, but Zeke is special. Come on, no, we know that. Back to that's the problem. Zeke could get hurt this year. That's my argument about Bell winning or losing. One injury, and Zeke does not see that second big contract, and that's huge. I mean, people don't understand that second contract is just so big and makes a difference for these superstars. And we can argue that, and that's the problem, middle America people that don't know a whole lot, they say that rookie contract should have set him up for life. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
Most of them, it's like, this is easy. Found some show on TV where it's lottery winners shopping for houses. It's called like Reality Millionaires or something like that. Where it's these people who won the lottery. The thing is, I first thought, probably dumb, but I'll kind of watch. She likes that house shopping stuff.
Right.
I'm amazed. These people, and they'll talk to them, and they'll go, well, how much did you win? And they'll hold up, they'll show a picture when they won the, Maryland scratch off. And I am not lying here. I'm almost positive this exactly happened. The person's held up this big check that they won for $750,000. So we're not even talking millions and millions of type lottery people. We're talking people who won. No, I would love to win $750,000 tomorrow as a scratch off. Don't get me wrong. I would love that. That would change my life. But these people win $750,000, and the realtor and them are out looking at homes that are $500,000. In my head, I'm like, they didn't even take home that much. I mean, I know. Right. I think for me, even if I won $1 million tomorrow, I could live on that probably. But I couldn't change my life at all. You know what I'm saying? It would I could just say, you know what? Tomorrow I don't need to go to work anymore. But I'm going to drive the same car. I'm going to live in the same house. I'm just kind of set now. And I think $1 million, meaning I would give the government $500,000. I would keep $500,000. That may not even be enough if I live a long time. I know there's people
not life-changing money. I mean, that's good enough money. That's not life-changing.
See, my argument would be life-changing. $500,000 would change my life. I might get one more good smoker.
That's not life-changing.
Maybe. Okay, it's life-altering.
There you go.
But that's the point. Zeke Elliott, he got life-changing money compared to what he was, living when he was a high schooler. Don't get me wrong. But this next contract he gets is life-changing. I mean, and that's my point. Do you stand your ground when we're talking life-changing money and these big contracts for these superstars? Now, I agree. Melvin Gordon is not quite the level of Zeke, but he is one of the better quality running backs. So,
true.
I think they have to do something because I didn't like the old way either. I didn't like when rookies that have never done anything are now getting paid a lot more than a 10-year veteran. That was always a little crazy, but at the same time, you can't go 4 and 5 years on a rookie deal. And for a running back, that's your whole career, and you never see another contract. And that rookie contract is not big compared to superstar money.
Oh, right. Yeah. And we've had this conversation a couple of times with some folks around the league or that are in the industry. And the funny thing is, we're seeing this happen to running backs now. The question is, do we start to see this happen with quarterbacks? Because you have to think, if quarterback is now quarterback is the most position, or the most important position on the team. Will teams now try and find quarterbacks that they can hold on rookie deals? Look at Russell Wilson when he came out. I mean, if you want to look at
the problem isn't the problem though with most rookie quarterbacks, they just don't develop as quickly.
Russell Wilson, they won the Super Bowl with him when he was on his rookie quarterback. On his rookie contract.
Again, I don't ever find that an argument. There's a lot of people who've won Super Bowls that didn't need to make any money. I mean, there have been a handful of quarterbacks that won Super Bowls that don't deserve.
Jared Goff was maybe a couple of passes away from doing it with him. There's a case to be made that if a team can then get a quarterback on the cheap and then invest everywhere else, because now they have a cheap quarterback that is at least passable. Why not try and invest elsewhere?
Well, okay, but my argument against that is still, we know quarterback longevity is different than running back longevity.
I agree.
So. And we also know that most quarterbacks, I know you've just given 2 quick examples, but most quarterbacks become really, we still have Mariota and
Jameis.
That, they're on year 5. They're at the end of their rookie contracts and really haven't peaked. And some people think this is Jameson's, this is James' season maybe this year. And a lot of people think Mariota's not going to make it. But
we'll see.
But both of them will get paid more next year. Mm-hmm. I know their rookie contract's over. Even if neither one of them succeed this year, because even as a backup quarterback, they're going to get paid more. Backup quarterbacks in our league, I think if I heard right, more than half of the backup quarterbacks in our league get paid more than like Zeke Elliott, and some of those guys get paid. And they're on the clipboard. They're not going to get a concussion. They're not going to get a ACL tear. So I don't know. And my goal was not to talk about this for the first 25 minutes of the show either.
And you did anyway.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, and my whole point of my argument is, I'm just and we just did that's the point. I just did what I don't like. I turn on these podcasts to listen to fantasy advice, and they're talking this contract stuff, and they're talking this. You know what? And they want to act like they know. Nobody knows. The people in the room where it's being negotiated know. Gordon probably has a few close family or friends that might know the real situation. We don't know anything.
We can speculate, but we're not a part of those negotiations. Right. We're not a part of those meetings. We don't know their agent. We don't know them.
Right.
Unless you're an actual blood relative to those players, you don't know.
Right. And the thing with Zeke, and this is where, and I think I said it last time we talked about it, I still think Zeke mentally I think Zeke has the ability to go, I won't play for 2 years then. Because if Zeke doesn't play for 2 years and stays out of trouble and stays in shape and maybe even has to sue the NFL, he'll get his $40 million. 2 years from now, somebody will say, I'll take a chance. I'll take a chance on a Zeke Elliott that hadn't played for 2 years, then he's stayed healthy. And I think he thinks that. So again, I think they think Bell won, and if they can not work for a year and then go back to work and get paid double what they were or 3 times what they were, that's worth their gamble, I think. Or at least that's what they're thinking. So
depends on their definition of a win. But I think it's possible.
Thank you. And even the way you said it, what they think is a win.
Right.
Not us as fantasy players.
No.
Us as fantasy experts or the people on radio or WLW Sports Talk tonight talking about it. We don't know, and it doesn't matter what we think or know.
Right.
So
they'll take what they think is either fair or a win for them, and then we'll just have to deal with it. We'll figure out the fallout after that.
Right. And we should be dealing with it. And I get it right now. And hey, part of my draft and some of my strategy went bad because of what's going on right now. And again, we'll get into that here in a second. But I am very interested in getting an update from you over your last weekend. And not the Saturday part, because I already talked to you about your Saturday part
Uh-huh.
on another show we do, the Brewcast, where we talk beer. Because me and Chris do have that in common also. Me and Chris, I think we're related, right?
Some way or another, there has to be.
Right. Brew, fantasy, and smoking. We're there. We're there, Chris. We're there. That's all I got to say. And we both love puppies. I mean,
Who doesn't love puppies?
Okay. I'm not saying I didn't throw that out there just in case you didn't.
Oh, okay. I'm just making sure.
I think you always can throw out, but we love puppies.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't love puppies?
No.
Oh my goodness.
Here's the deal.
Okay.
When we've talked about first of all, what was the event you went to? What was the name of it? What was it called? I know it was in Canton, Ohio, but it was called something, right?
It was called the Fantasy. Actually, I'm wearing the shirt right now.
Well, stand up then. Midwest Fantasy Football Expo 29. Okay. I had told you all along I was interested. This seemed like something would be cool. And in my head, and I'll be honest, in my head, and maybe I'll be right or wrong, I don't know. In my head, I was thinking, the basement of a church, Okay, I know that now, but I'm just saying. But my point is, that was in my mind a little bit, but I was still excited. I still thought that'd be cool. That's the easiest thing. Easy could go there, fit in. I mean, I would be good with that. And a few weeks ago, I said, maybe I'm interested. Maybe I could do that. Then I find out, and maybe that's why I went rogue. Then I realized, wait a minute. My home league draft changed their date this year. We always draft the Sunday of Labor Day. I get Labor Day and Memorial Day mixed up. It's Labor Day coming up at the end, right? We got Labor Day coming up.
Yeah.
Okay. So we usually do it the Sunday before Labor Day, but this year, because we have two gentlemen that are serving our country, and they have guard duty or something that weekend. So we had to move it, and we moved it to this last weekend. And I didn't put that together. So a couple weeks ago, I said, Chris, I'm not going to be able to go because I have this draft. Then Saturday comes, this last Saturday, when one of us was out hooping and hollering and drinking everybody's beer he could find.
I was doing no such thing.
I was at my house doing work around the house because football season is about to begin, and Mrs. Easy knows, Saturday and Sunday is just there. It's, there's no easy. Not easy doesn't help a lot on the weekends because I do college football. I do real football. But Saturday, I'm listening to Sirius XM, and I want to say at noon, they started some live draft. I'm like, that's cool. I'm going to listen because I have a draft tomorrow. I'm going to listen. And it was from the Midwest Expo. And they kept all day long Saturday, everything they were doing live from the Midwest Expo.
Oh, yeah, the King's Classic.
They had everybody that, I listen to on Sirius, other podcasts. So obviously this was a big event. I got more excited for you every hour I was listening. They would interview a new guy, and they would,
I talked with Bob Harris for about a half hour. I mock drafted with him. He sat right next to me during, we were on the same mock draft panel. So I got to sit and talk with him for a while. Great guy. I mean, just the nicest man.
See, and I just can't be mad at you for being late now. Chris Harris. I mean, you're there. That's my point.
No, not Chris Harris. Bob Harris.
Bob Harris. Oh, Chris Harris is the other Harris, but Bob Harris, right?
Yeah, Bob Harris. Yeah.
And just all kinds of people though were there. I mean, I heard they were. Corey Parsons is Corey Parsons seems like I want to go beer drinking with Corey Parsons.
Rich Rebar was there.
Yeah.
On Saturday. Marcus Grant.
It was not all at the Hall of Fame. I think they did some of the drafts there, but where was the actual event held?
The King's Classic was at the Hall of Fame, and then the expo itself was held at the cultural center that's right across from it.
Yeah, okay.
So that's where we were at on Sunday. Was the expo was actually held at that place, but the King's Classic was at the actual Hall of Fame.
I'm telling you, next year I'm there. Next year, my home draft people, I'm gonna say we can. If you have to move it to a different day because
it's worth it.
I think they're already. I'm going right.
We're already. I mean, I'm in two DM threads or one DM thread with Bob Lung right now, and all the guys that were there this year, and we're already like shooting ideas back and forth about how we can plan out the expo for 2020. There's multiple email threads going on right now to plan for it too. So there's already
you're one of them, and I'm one of us. If you see me walking around, you at least wave, right? If I'm there next year, you would at least wave at me because
gosh,
I will be the guy on the other side of the rope. You know, hey, I think I know that guy.
No, it was. I mean, it didn't. We were talking with. I mean, everybody. I mean,
they talked. See, on Sunday, then during my draft, and then after the draft, they were interviewing people all day long on Sirius.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So obviously, Sirius XM had a presence.
Yeah, Bob said he had like they set up a booth or something like that for him to do a live show like while he was there.
They had live shows on the whole weekend, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, any other major? I mean, what? Give me some of the big highlights.
Okay. Yeah. In the morning, we did a live draft there. It was a charity event. It was actually 3 12-team leagues running at the same time, but it was like a live draft that we were doing. We were doing on the Sleeper app, but actual like draft boards, like stickers and stuff were supplied. So like we were going up there making our picks and all that. But then after that, I participated in a dynasty panel. It was myself. It was the Curtis Patrick from RotoViz. Bob was on it. And then Bob Lung was there. Bob Harris was there. I forget, there was like a bunch of other folks. I don't know if like the winner from the Scott Fishbowl winner from last year, Sam Lane, he was a part of the discussion. And so we were all up there. We had a panel, a bunch of questions. Folks from the audience were asking us questions, so I got to do that. I did a mock draft, just a 12-team PPR draft.
I think you talked earlier. Did you end up doing any type of a live broadcast or any kind of podcasting from there?
Yes, that was at the end of the day. So the charity draft was at 10. The dynasty panel discussion was at 1, and then the mock draft was at 3, and then the live show that I did was at 5. So there was stuff going on.
A long day.
Oh yeah. And then we went to Fathead Brewery, which was maybe about 10-15 minutes away, for like an after party thing where a bunch of folks like met up just to kind of talk shop and get some free food, have a couple of drinks. And, it was a full day, man. Maybe next year I can be a part. Like I said, I just want to make sure you wave back. Dude, how many shows that you have? You could have a booth. What are you talking about?
But my hand, I'm just a fan. I even say that in my name. I'm just a fan. I'm just a fan.
You should be walking around with the lanyard just like me next week.
A lanyard. I want a lanyard so bad. I've never had one. I want one.
Next year.
Would it say easy? Can I have it say easy, or do I
had one with like my name on it, the podcast that I was with, my Twitter handle. Actually, for next year, I need to print out business cards.
Well, next year, our podcast, we're going to make a big deal out of it. We want people to, and people from the sports crew, Lou and them, out losing California. But who knows, Lou? If these guys know it long enough in advance, maybe. Because on Sirius, then on Monday. Most is Sirius on Monday while I was listening. A lot of the people who weren't there were going, man, I heard about it, but I didn't know they were even saying it sounded better than I thought. Next year I'm going. So I got a feeling next year is going to be even bigger.
Yeah, that's what we're already talking about.
And I'm going to have to stand even farther back. They're going to make it even bigger, and they're going to go, you, a fantasy fan, back. You got to go back.
Because they want to get the guys, because there were a lot of big names there on Saturday, but they weren't able to stay for Sunday. So we're trying to come up with ways to make sure that some of those guys like Marcus Grant can come and stay on Sunday for the event. Like Rich Rebar, he couldn't make it on Sunday because he had family stuff going on. The fantasy footballers.
And I think you promoted or tweeted out already the date for next year. So I think they already have a date.
Yeah, August 16th, I want to say.
We'll get that out. We're gonna work on it. We're gonna get I know we have some listeners that are in New York and North. I mean, it's a drive, but it's possible. It's and if you make a 2 or 3 day out of it, there is the Hall of Fame if you've never been. I mean, we're Chris, we need to keep on this.
I'm just hoping the homebrew competition isn't the same weekend again next year.
That
would be great.
Time. I'm just saying, did sound like you had a good time on Saturday, but
I know, but it was a lot of driving.
What time did you get home then on Sunday?
We didn't get home till about like 10:30 on Sunday, and that was after getting up I was up at 4:30.
Yeah, I know. I heard from somebody that. Yeah, I don't think Chris. I didn't think wanted to leave without at least saying goodbye. And all right, well that's fine. I'm excited. I was upset that I missed it, to be real honest. Yeah. And we don't have much time left. I mean, obviously, again, we're not on a schedule anymore. The sports crew's allowing us to do whatever we want. They're going to post it. Yeah, they'll post it the next morning. And YouTube, they don't care. They got plenty of bandwidth. But cool thing. That's just cool. And I'm glad you, like I said, I was following some of your stuff, and I saw you tweeted out the new date, and we're definitely going to get that out there and go. So I guess before I go on to my disaster, other than the contract stuff was already kind of hit on, any other big news? And I said that early on before you came on. It's been a slow, and unfortunately I say that in a good way, but it sounds bad. It's been a slow off season so far, preseason, because no injuries, thank God. I mean, that's really a good thing. But all the talks really have been contract issues or helmet issues or foot issues.
It looks like
am I missing anything that might have happened tonight or anything?
No, I mean, because this preseason feels different than the preseasons in the past, because it's about this time. It's like the third preseason game where it basically turns into like an NFL dress rehearsal. But there are a lot of teams that aren't really doing that for fear of some of their guys getting injured or dinged up. And so we're really not going to see some of the big name stars. They might see them for maybe a few snaps, but other than that, we're not going to see anybody until week 1. So we really haven't heard all too much.
2 different coaches interviewed today that the preseason games almost don't matter to them anymore because the 2 team practices, they've now added an extra day. I think the one guy that, now maybe I don't know if the teams that was on today specifically said that, but the coach today made it sound like they were doing an extra day of that this year. Yeah. And they were able to do a lot more situational practices, which he says to him is much more useful than even a game, because if a game doesn't flow right, you can't get the situation to practice,
Exactly. So the only thing that's really useful for like the preseason is useful for is for roster cut down. That's about it. Like the practice squad guys, the second, third stringers, those guys that are trying to make the final 53, that's about as useful as the preseason is going to get. We won't see much in terms of teams tipping their hand as to what they're going to do during the regular season, because a lot of the guys are going to get held out.
Right. So, like I said, the good thing is we have less injuries. Now, a lot of the big, we don't recall that, most people don't, but a lot of the big injuries that happen in preseason still happen in practice, not the preseason games.
Oh, that's true. We've been hearing about hamstring tightness, guys
just even ACL tears in the last 2 or 3 years have happened during practices, or Teddy Bridgewater, his break happened during a preseason practice, not a game. So
AJ Green stuff just right down the road.
Yep. So the fact that they're playing or not playing, again, we want to say we know best, but the NFL and the teams will figure it out. And I think it will change, but I don't think it's going to change drastic. I don't think we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see no preseason like college, where hey, tomorrow's the first game, and I don't think we're ever going to. But I do think they're going. I can see where they're going to go to 2 or 3 games maybe, but again,
somebody saying, I forget who it was, but somebody was speculating that they just might slim down the preseason to maybe 2 games in the near future, because if the starters aren't really going to play.
The rumor I've heard that I think from most respectable people make it sound like here are the 2 real options. that the NFL, and from what I understand, has actually already offered the players. The NFL's pretty much already said, we'll just go to 3 games, 3 preseason, and that's it. Boom. Nothing much changes. But if they go to 2 games, they want to add another game to the regular season. So they're not going to get rid of, you know what I'm saying? They're only
want their money.
Yeah, they're not going to get rid of 2 games.
Right. That's too much ad sales and time for
what I understand. They're willing to maybe dump 1, but 2 isn't going to happen. So if the players want to get it down to 2, that's fine. But you're going to have to give us an extra game in the regular, which I'm fine with. Now, I know there's a lot of different things there. My argument would be I'm fine with that, but give each team 2 bye weeks. Figure it out.
That's the only way I'd sign off on that.
Now, some players, when I've heard talk about that, still say it sounds good, but even with the bye weeks, there's still wear and tear. So if you have the bye weeks, they have to be true bye weeks where the players are off, meaning it is full rest, full whatever. But we all know when you do that, there's still teams that are going to go, oh, yeah, we know you can rest if you want this week, but if we really want to win the Super Bowl, we might want you studying the playbook and maybe working out at, at somebody's house and catch a few passes, and then the players feel pressured. And that's what makes that hard. That's why you have to have rules and then try to follow it. But so other than that, again, I don't think today I kind of paid attention, but today I didn't notice any injuries or anything's going on today. We do have preseason starting again tomorrow. Did Brown show up to practice today, but without a helmet? I think I heard, or he was testing a new helmet, right? Yeah. And his grievance will be discussed on Friday.
Yes. So it should be an expedited decision. That's the hope, since they're doing it on Friday.
Because he's saying now that he deserves a 1-year extension on this new helmet that he just bought off of Twitter, which I find hysterical. But
which from my understanding was that he found one that was within the rules of the first set of rules that was provided to him for getting a new helmet. But then when they went back and looked at it, they were like, they found another defect or like a different, like a caveat or a rule change. And then that one didn't. And then that one failed when they
the actual model was not on the list originally. So if you were not on the list originally, you got a 1-year exemption, and now he's saying you get that 1 year. But who knows?
It's been a big mess.
And then on Hard Knocks this year, I have found, and my family has found, boring, because there is my wife and my daughter enjoy the emotional part of it. See the families, the players on their off day and their off hours and all that. Like that. There's none of that. This is all training camp, pretty much. Yeah. Training camp, Mills and Antonio Brown. That's
about it.
And so
that's about it. The factuals.
Yeah. All right. Well, we don't have a lot of time left, so let's just get into this. Maybe I'll help somebody. And I know, because I don't even know how to say we might help somebody, because I don't know what happened. So I even questioned, naming this podcast. Did I go rogue? Did I underprepare, or did I overprepare? I'm not sure what happened. And to be real honest, no one's seen my team but me. This is going to be, you're going to be the first person to look at it. Mm-hmm. My opinion is, I'm going to have to work a little harder this season. You know what I'm saying? So, let me see if I can put the old share a screen up. Maybe that'll be the best option we have.
Show me.
And there we go. Let me do something a little bit bigger. You probably aren't going to be able to see it.
So TJ, Clint, Reed, Kyle, Jimmy, Zach, Garrett, Clint H. Brody. Where are you at? Okay, you're at the 12 spot.
I'm at the 12, baby. Here's what threw me off right off the get-go. Most of my mocks and most of me knowing these players, most of the people I draft against, there's a few weird picks in the first round, and there were none. The first round went Barkley, McCaffrey. To me, the first question, do you take Elliott in the third? Remember, this was Sunday, not today, so not quite as much news. But then Johnson.
Wait, hold on. So
David Johnson went 4. which I thought was funny.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pat Mahomes win as quarterback 12?
Yeah, but you're way okay. No. Keepers. This is a keeper league.
So, okay.
Now,
Okay.
quit reading the board. You're getting way ahead of me. I do not care about these other people. This is all about row 12.
Well, because I'm seeing that you have Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers, so I was like, okay, so you took them at the 3-4 turn, and I'm trying to figure out where Mahomes went.
Yeah, this is a super flex league. So, people who and that's my point, guys. So it really doesn't matter. There was, like I said, a few weird picks in the beginning. I really thought and trust me, when Hopkins kept falling, I was getting excited. And then,
I thought your name was spelled with a K.
It is. They hate me there. They do, and they make fun of me. But yeah, because the C is, I always say the C is for the California marks.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
California marks, that C stands for California, because only the blonde hippie surfer marks have a C. The tough guys are K's, baby. But so it came to me, and here's where I think I messed up, unfortunately, right off the get-go. But let me give you my thought process. Was my second pick, technically my first. It really didn't matter because I was on the turn. I just happened to put Kelsey up first. So I took Kelsey and Gurley first and second. And I don't know. And I think taking Kelsey right off the bat, or taking him that early, obviously made me have to chase the rest of the way. But when it came to Gurley, my choice was Gurley or Cook. That was really what it came down to me there. I was pretty convinced I was going to take Kelsey number 1 or 2 either way at that point, because I wanted to get 2 players that, in my opinion, could end up being top 5 players at the end of the season.
All right. And you didn't have access to Odell, Julio, Hopkins. They were all the top 5 receivers were gone.
And I'm not saying Brown couldn't. I'm not saying Evans couldn't. I didn't think Allen could. But in my mind, I believe that Kelsey in a PPR can definitely finish in the top 5 of players. And I really believe Gurley can. I really thought of what I had left. Gurley was the last player on the board that I could take that could be the number 1 player at the end of the year.
Where the heck
I've had a few people question that because he's injured a little bit. My thing is, I think he'll get less yards, but I think they're going to manage him better, and I think he's going to get a lot of touchdowns on a very high-powered offense. I think Gurley, worst case is Gurley gives me round 4 numbers, but best case in my mind, he could get me the top numbers, period. So that's where I went. Then, and as you can see, where I think I'm going to have trouble is my wide receivers are definitely, so I'm going to obviously start Kelsey, Gurley, probably Damian Williams at this point, I think. And then I'm going to have 2 of the 3 best quarterbacks in the league in a super flex. I'm going to be starting Watson and Rodgers every week.
So you don't have a third? Most people wind up taking well, I guess you can get one off the waiver wire if you need to.
A third quarterback?
Yeah, some people take 3.
We've talked this league, you're not allowed. We're only allowed to we've talked about that. We're only allowed to roster 2 quarterbacks.
You never told me that.
Yes, I've told you that.
No, you didn't.
This league is a 2 quarterback roster max.
Oh, okay.
There's always quarterbacks on the waiver wire.
Yeah. Okay.
And it does make for some crazy trades in the middle of the season when you don't want to.
Well, yeah, because you have to suffer a bye week at least once.
Well, and so there you go. So it depends on how good your team is. Can you survive a bye week? Do you have a number 4 wide receiver that you can play in your super flex to get you through? Or, I'll be honest, I've always made crazy trades, and I've always ended up somehow with another quarterback and not had to suffer my bye. Now, the good thing is Watson and Rodgers are both by 10 and 11, so I have a long time to worry about. And what I like about that means there's a lot of quarterbacks that will get past their bye week.
Yeah.
That will give me an option to trade for. So, I kind of like I like that. But obviously, the problem is I have Corey Davis, Anthony Miller, Kote. I can never even say his name. I have, yeah, thank you. I have Josh Brown, Devontae Parker. I have
John Brown.
Yeah, what I say? Yeah, John Brown from Buffalo.
Uh-huh.
And,
Devontae Parker?
Huh?
Why Devontae Parker?
Why Devontae Parker?
Sell me on that one.
Okay. Devontae Parker, I don't know if you look here. A lot of the other wide receivers in that couple rows there where I could have picked were almost all keepers.
That was 14th round. And
then 14th round. And my problem was I already realized I had four questionable wide receivers at the time. So I knew I was going to have to take even more questionable. I needed upside guys or cuttable guys.
Okay.
I still believe if Fitzpatrick is the quarterback for Miami, Parker and Stills are obviously the two main guys, and Parker could be their main guy. I think Parker is a good player. He just had coaching problems and health problems. So, and if it doesn't work out, he's 14th round, I'll cut him. That's just the way I had to go. I felt.
And then who'd you take? So that's the 14th round. So looping back around. So that means you missed out on. So let's see. So Cole Beasley. I see him.
Yeah.
Is that Jerron Brown that's next to him?
Yeah, Jerron Brown.
Okay, and then coming back in the 15th.
And then the next wide receiver available was Moore, which I took. I took the next three. What I would have said. Then if you look,
David Moore, right?
The other ones I missed out were Ginn and Steed. If you look, there's a lot of purple. They took a lot of wide receivers. Well, finalizing in a PPR with the ability to start four wide receivers, a lot of wide receivers went. I actually felt Parker, Moore, and Lee were the best wide receivers left on the board. Nelson Aguilar, Hamilton, Josh Doxson. I'm sorry. I think Parker, Moore, and Lee all could be good number threes if it works out right.
I'd prefer Rashard Higgins in that same spot, though. That's if you believe in that. I don't even see him on the board.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, I'd prefer Rashard Higgins over Devontae Parker. That's assuming if you believe in Baker Mayfield.
Well,
and he's another wide receiver 3 with more upside.
I'm not a rookie guy. He's a rookie, right? Is his first year?
Oh.
I thought it was his rookie year. Second year?
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, I'll write it down and take a look and see if he's on. Obviously, he can be picked up. Those are the kind of things. And again, on this league, I'll play the waiver wire. But that's obviously my problem. I'm only going to be starting 3 wide receivers.
And is that Marquise Lee that you took in the 15th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's now healthy,
Yeah, he just got activated. Yeah.
And he had some good games at one point. He's a capable player.
I'm still holding out hope for Chris Conley, but I get it.
Hey, I'm going to have to work. My starting running backs, that's my problem. I have Gurley, and then as long as Damian Williams is the starter, I'm good. And then my, Cohen is my third running back, which, I didn't necessarily like, but, I'm hoping obviously that, Jones, if he gets healthy, he could be the number 1 in Atlanta. Obviously that's a hope. The good thing is in a PPR, I think Cohen is a fine replacement for bye weeks. I think Cohen's a good flex guy.
Just depends on who went. Is that Kerryon Johnson next to him? I'm assuming that's a keeper, right? Right next to.
No, Kerryon Johnson went just before me.
If that's 6, if that's round 6, that's coming back.
Hold on. I can't blow this up. Maybe I can. Hold on.
Yeah, so it's round 6, so it's coming back. So I'm assuming that's a keeper, though, right? Kerryon Johnson.
Kerryon Johnson was a keeper.
Oh, okay. All right. So
I think Kelsey Gurley, then coming around Watson, Rogers, then I came back, got Davis and Cohen, and then I didn't get Johnson. Duke Johnson would have been available, but I think Cohen's a better Duke Johnson and in a better situation personally.
Mhm.
Freeman was a keeper. Well, that's Royce Freeman, so it doesn't even matter. Sony Michelle was a keeper.
Wow, Royce Freeman was a keeper. Interesting.
Jordan Howard was not a keeper. Marlon Mack was a keeper.
Where'd Miles Sanders go? Was he not even picked up?
Here, right up here.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's aggressive, but I like it.
So, I don't know. Here's the two things. So, first of all, my concern is maybe I just messed up by taking non wide receivers in any of the first 4 picks in a league that's pretty PPR oriented. But I felt that I got 4 players that can win me weeks. If those 4 players, all 3 have what they're capable of doing, I'm starting out with pretty good points out of those 4. Kelsey, Gurley, Watson, Rodgers, and then obviously Damian Williams. That's really 5 number ones possibly. So,
but you already hurt. I mean, you're hurt at wide receiver because Coutie's still out.
He was okay just the other day. He's now allowed to practice and stuff. So
we'll see, man.
Yeah.
Corey Davis. Okay, I mean,
so that's what I got. And then
some work.
And then my good pick, I thought at the end is then I went with Justice Hill in the 16th round because I'm hoping, one, I would love for him to be if something happens to Ingram, he could be their number 1. But he's my keeper pick. See, this is a keeper league, and I didn't pick any young guys, so I'll be able to keep him if he does well. I can keep him as a 14th next year. Hopefully, I get some out of him this year. Like I said, I have Marquise Lee, David Moore. I said I'm going to need a couple wide receivers to really have, they're going to have to stick a little bit.
Yeah.
Here's where I want to know. We talked about this being a keeper league. I decided not to keep anybody but Damian Williams. I did not keep Pettis. I could have kept him for a 6th-round pick, and he went in the 6th round. So I don't feel I did much bad there.
Didn't lose anything.
The problem is that is where I got Cohen. So the key would have been at this point, I could have maybe gone a running back here instead of Corey Davis, knowing that I had,
that would have been better.
And that's what I thought. So that
Davis Pettis.
I also, which now this week after today, I also did not keep Austin Eckler, which I could have kept for a 7th round. And in this thing, which I still think he went too high here. He went in the 4th round.
That's pretty high.
Yeah, I thought so. Now, that doesn't mean I couldn't have, he wouldn't have been a help for me in the 7th. But you got to on Sunday afternoon, I still assumed that at most you might get 4 weeks out of him. And I wasn't willing to necessarily spend a 5th or 6th round on him. Now, I thought if he fell to the 5th or 6th or 7th in that area, I might go ahead and pick him up again, depending on how my draft was going.
Well, you're at the end of the draft. I mean, you're at the end of the round, rather. So at the 5-6 turn, that would have been fine.
Would have been perfect. And if I'd have kept him, technically I could have kept him as a 7 or a 6, depending on if I'd kept whatever. So I was hoping he'd come around again, but he didn't. So and I did not keep Dak Prescott, which I would have kept. If I'd have kept him, he would have been well. That's the thing. If I'd have kept him, I couldn't have kept him and Ertz or Eckler. But if I'd have kept Prescott, I would have kept him for a 7th round, and he went in the 10th. So I could have drafted him. So that was good that I didn't keep him. But it didn't matter anyway, since I went with Watson and Rodgers right off the get-go. So so there we go. There was some weird. I don't know. Do you notice this one here? Round 7. Someone took the Bears.
Hey, man, you got to appreciate people that want to act as being the rake in your league, man.
Yep. And then look who he took in the 8th pick, his next pick.
That's the rake right there, man.
There you go. Then he took Zerline in the 9th. But that's it even gets better for this guy. This guy's been in our league. I don't want to say Reed's name because he might be listening now. Now they all know that I have a show. So I'm not going to say Reed's name. I would not want to embarrass him, live on YouTube.
You got his name up there.
Okay, you're catching on, but
I do like the rest of his team.
He took the Jaguars in the 17th.
We got to have a backup, bro.
We took 2 defenses before some of us took our first defense.
You got to have a backup. Okay.
Cracked me up. His team is Elliott, Ertz, Henry, Watkins, Lamar Jackson, Juju Schuster, which was a keeper, Dub Ayers, Zerline, Russell Wilson.
Is that Darwin Thompson?
Darwin Thompson and Chris Thompson. He got both the Thompsons.
And Jamal Williams.
Crowder, Jamal Williams, Cole Beasley. I don't know. We could go down to everybody's team.
That might be a league-winning team right there. I'm not even kidding you right now.
It could be with that defense and Zerline. Cracks me up. Come on. Zeke, the key here is if Zeke doesn't play. If Zeke doesn't play, he's in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, because he has to fall back on Derrick Henry. I mean, Darwin Thompson might be legit. I mean, behind Damian Williams, because it sounds like he's playing ahead of Carlos Hyde at this point.
And I really thought Sammy Watkins in the 4th was a little bit of a reach. I felt. I would have taken Sammy Watkins in the 4th, I mean,
that's ahead of because he took him ahead of Mike Williams, who I have him ahead of, Jarvis Landry.
Yeah.
I definitely have him ahead of. So basically, he was trying to corner the market on the rest of the Chiefs that were available.
Yeah, he took him before Robbie Anderson and Tyler Lockett.
Robbie Anderson, Tyler Lockett. Yeah.
I just thought that was a little bit of a reach. Lamar Jackson. I don't know. That's hey. I mean, if you believe in him, you believe in him.
But it's fun. I mean, I don't mind having those 2 quarterbacks, but if he had reversed the order of drafting those 2 quarterbacks, that would have made more sense.
Right. Now, that's where after looking, and that's what's always bad, after a draft when you look at a board, obviously looking back now, if I don't take these 2 quarterbacks, if I don't take Watson and Rodgers, then I'm probably a good enough player where, I probably could have come here and got Rivers. I could have come here and got Russell Wilson.
You could have like Golf Brady,
Winston, and here's the thing: I still could have got him and got Stafford with him, or Kirk Cousins. I mean, I do feel some good quarterbacks fell.
Yep.
But it's like here, I'm sorry, Drew Brees can't go in the 4th. I think that's a little high for Drew Brees. I get it; he's a good player, but I don't know, a little high. But quarterbacks did fall, and this is a 2 quarterback league. They usually go a little earlier.
If you can get Jameis Winston in the 13th, goodness gracious.
Yeah, Jameis Winston's the 13th. I would have loved to have started my season with Prescott in the 10th and Winston in the 13th. I would have started with that. And then that means up here, and then that means here I could have had, Gurley and Dalvin Cook, or I could have had, Antonio Brown. That was my only other thing I looked at. I could have, because I debated. I could have started. Where did he go? No, I couldn't. See, that was the other thing. Bell went pick 5, which I thought was a little early for Bell.
That's also aggressive, but I don't know. I mean, if you think about it, he is one of the guys that I think that like we might just have it wrong, and it might just be that.
Sure, but isn't that most? That's a lot of drafting,
Oh yeah.
And then I thought AJ Green, going in the 3rd.
That's aggressive.
At the beginning of the 3rd.
Yeah, that's aggressive.
2, I thought was a little quick, especially. I'm sorry, when you have Galladay, Cooks, and Woods. I'm not a big Cooks and Woods guy, but I think I'd take either one of them probably right now ahead of AJ Green. So
yeah, I have him more in like the 5th, 6th round, somewhere around, at least for me, somewhere around like Mike Williams, like wherever his ADP is at.
Right.
So somewhere like the middle of the 5th.
We're drafting in Ohio. I told you that ahead of time. When you draft in Ohio, the Ohio guys are going to go a little early.
Then where'd Andy Dalton go?
I don't think Andy Dalton went. Andy Dalton is not drafted.
Just not representing Ohio right then.
Right. But see, that would be my point. Well, the guy that picked AJ Green went with Cam Newton and Kirk Cousins.
That's solid.
Yeah, but my point is, if you believe that much in AJ Green, then why take Cousins here? Why not come down here and get Cousins in the 18th or get Dalton in the 18th? My concern right now with AJ Green is if he misses 3 or 4 games and they lose those 3 or 4 games, he might miss 2 more games. Meaning the
left took John Ross too.
Yep, way down here. Yeah, he did take John Ross.
All right then.
Now that I look at it, his wide receivers. We got lucky and got Hopkins off the get. I mean, to get Hopkins at the 9th pick is pretty good, actually.
And then he's got Thielen, I guess, as a keeper back there in round 6.
No, Thielen was drafted. No, Thielen was his keeper. Right,
that
right.
Has to be,
Thielen was his keeper.
Yeah.
And I think he kept him, and Breida was his keeper. I'm trying to think. He ended up keeping 3, and I didn't think he'd keep but 1, and but he did. So I don't know. Hey, I'm just telling you, I was excited drafting, in person for the first time for the season, and that's my main league, the league where I started. It was fun. We drank, we had pulled pork.
Hey, live drafts, man, you can't beat them.
We got there at 11. We left at 5. It was 6 great hours. So we had a blast. And like I said, I'm going to have to work. If you notice, I did not draft a kicker or a defense. So I'm going to have to cut a couple people here in a few weeks and hopefully that's the problem. Right now, I don't want my players to get hurt. But if someone gets hurt, I obviously have an IR spot.
Right.
And then I don't have to cut as many people. But that's the issue right now. Right now, it'd be you obviously can look at the last 2 picks and go, you just cut them. And if I messed up again, I think I should have looked at other keepers in the 18th instead of Jordan Reed. But unfortunately, in the 18th round, in my mind, I quickly went, if Jordan Reed takes off well, meaning if you look at my draft, I picked Kelsey in the 1st and Reed at 18. If Reed has a Reed type year, if I'm not able to trade either one, if those 2 tight ends are playing well, I'm not a fan of it, but those are 2 tight ends, if they're playing at their peak, one of them could be a flex.
Right.
So that might help my wide receiver situation a little bit. But what I'm hoping is if Jordan Reed takes off and has a good, thing, then he's tradable, obviously with injury things. If I just need to get another, if Reed has 3 great games right off the bat, maybe I get a decent 2 or a decent 3, a low end 2 wide receiver for him.
Yeah.
Somebody who's high on wide receivers, or the opposite. Let's say he starts gangbusters and it looks good. I'm not against trading my 1st round pick. I would have no problem trading Kelsey, for, it's hard to say yet, but, a Galladay or somebody, if I would look here, this guy has Evans, Galladay, Robinson, Cooper Kupp. So he has some wide receivers. So let's say one of them starts a little slow. I might say, hey, I'll trade you Kelsey. Right now it would look bad to give him Kelsey for Galladay, who went 2 rounds later, but but in week 4, it may not be. Week 4, if I go, hell, Reed's getting me 20 points a week. Kelsey's only getting me 24. I'll trade Kelsey and come away with a Galladay, that type thing. So that was the reason I took Reed. I took Hill for my a keeper. Edmonds is my one guy that I've taken Edmonds right now, just because if there's an injury there, I think he'd be the replacement right now.
I think he has standalone value, like Austin Eckler when Melvin Gordon was still there, like Gio Bernard does when Joe Mixon is still there. I think Chase Edmonds still has week-to-week value on his own.
Yeah, the problem is I'm going to have to cut somebody. That's my problem. If he's not starting week 1, I have to have a kicker and a defense week 1. So we'll see. But obviously Devontae Parker, if something happens to him or whatever, or if Kuti is IR'd again, I can move him down. We'll see. But no one cares about my draft but me, but that's all that matters to me. That's all that matters. So
right.
Chris, I said, it's not a terrible team. I don't think that I have 5.
It's a contender. We got some work to do.
I have 5 guys that could be in the top 5 at the end of the year. The key is, can I pull out a couple other guys out of that? I mean, and I've looked at the other teams, but we're all similar. When you look at teams like this, where most teams, except for there's a couple that had really, really good keepers. When you're keeping Kamara or whatever in like the 15th or the 11th or wherever Kamara was kept, you can do a lot of things. And you're better now. Again, Damian Williams in the 8th. We're still going to look and see there, but hey, makes it fun. Makes it fun. Yeah. Like I said, that's why I can't play in 10 team or 8 teams, where everybody's good. Then you don't really even know. There's no thought process.
Hard to get any edges there.
Amen. Chris, had a blast.
Always.
I know people probably were bored with my first 20 minutes, but I did my best. I went ahead and rode with it. I'm like, I gave you till like 10 after, and I said, I'm going. And, Chris will pop in. He'll be all right. Chris, where can we find you? What do you got going on?
At Chris Allen FFWX on the Twitter machine, and I have one more. I'm not kidding you. One more off-season article, and then I have a week off. I have a week off until the season starts, and then that's when we get into quarterback streaming. So look for that piece. It should drop on Friday or Saturday, and then after that, I'm done for the off season. I think I've written probably like 40 or 50 articles this off season, so I finally get a week off. But then after that, look for me over on 4for4, and then you can also look for me over on Numberfire. I'm signing up for some of their in-season content there, so it'll be those 2 places. And I might be doing some video content for Fantrax, and I'll always be doing the Dynasty mailbag for DLF. So a little bit of video, a little bit of writing. So that's in store for me for this. And
season. You're always going to be here on Wednesday nights.
Absolutely. That's a given.
Right. It's a given. Because without you, I don't have a show because I don't know anything. And again, that's why I said at the beginning of the show, the worst part of me is my prep is all about asking you questions.
Got it.
And I can't ask my own question.
Right.
Because I don't know the answer. That's part of the point. I write a question that I need an answer to that the fans will know. So, and man, I'm still involved in baseball. I'm in tight race for second place and the championship. I mean, the playoffs will start there in a couple of weeks, but I kind of keep my football head on me. I got to keep my baseball head on me.
You're doing too much stuff, man.
I got to do my waiver wire stuff here. And I did see you accepted the new Sportscrew League.
What's up? I got the invite for it, and I clicked it.
Yeah, because unfortunately, like I said, we made a few changes a couple weeks ago with our podcast, and some of the people who were going to try to be involved in that were, I don't know. Again, I'm not taking sides one way or the other. I just kind of emailed a few people and said, for right now, I'm going to hold off and see what's going on. And then Lou said, hey, I heard you're going to start a league, but now maybe how about we start it with the Sportscrew people? And I said, that's fine, but you need to leave me 2 or 3 spots. Mm-hmm. And he left me 4. We got Kevin from Hawaii. Okay. I already told Kevin. I got somebody else. I got 2 of our people already that I knew didn't have a problem moving over here with us. And then I said, well, I want to make sure you at least got an offer. Then I have an offer. So there's at least 4 of me and you and 2 of our listeners. And I still have 1 more spot I can offer somebody. Sure. And, so any of our regular listeners, if you want to shoot me an email at justafantasyfan at gmail.com, justafantasyfan@gmail.com, put in the subject Fantasy Football League. Let's just do it that way. Just Fantasy Football League. And then I do have 1 more invite. Lou has a couple people that want it, but I told him I would at least offer it. I'm glad you said, I almost forgot. I'm glad we said something because I do want to let people know. And Cha-Cha, that's in our thing, he's in that league. Uh-huh. There's a couple other experts, people that are in there, and obviously Lou Landers. So it's a pretty good group of people. Should be fun. And we're kind of doing what we said on our thing. We're kind of doing, me and Lou went back and forth. We're kind of calling this like a trophy dash. This year we're playing, it's $20 and the money's going towards a kick-ass trophy /belt that says a fantasy fan or whatever.
Yeah.
It's through a keeper league because we want the league to continue with the podcast and our show. So it should be fun. We're, obviously, I nothing better than taking a picture with you, holding the belt or having the belt around your waist. And
who doesn't love that?
Right. We'll post it or we'll use it as our Twitter picture for a while, something like that. It'll be cool. So it should be fun. Chris, again, you can reach me, a fantasy fan. Go to the sportscrew.com where we post everything. And we will see you next. Well, I'll only see you next Wednesday. Like I said, I've been doing a couple other shows every Saturday and some weird stuff, having fun. So, who knows when you'll hear me next. So just make sure you follow us on YouTube or, iTunes, whatever you can follow. All one word, a fantasy fan. I don't say that enough. People kind of go, I can't find you. It's all one word, one big long word, a fantasy fan. Chris, say goodnight.
This has been Just a Fantasy Fan podcast. And to keep your fantasies going, follow us at justafantasyfan.com. Say good night. Good night.